Do you think that Trump's gonna basically investigate Biden?
Honest to God, no.
You don't
Because
think
I think Trump
didn't do it to Clinton.
Trump is very much a person that exists in time, and once he's elected, Biden will be in his review. He won't give a fuck. He'll be like, oh, cool, and he'll just go on and do whatever the fuck.
I kind of think he'll be more focused on like what's immediately in front of him. I think that he'll say whatever he needs to say to like appeal to people. Everybody wants blood. All these Republicans think that they've been groomed into thinking that the Biden crime family are the greatest villains in the history of the world. And so if in the moment it means that they can finally prosecute Biden for all of his crimes, even though they've had 16 months to investigate crimes and the Republican-led oversight committee and judiciary committee found nothing, still like that'll be convenient for him in the moment. But once he's in and it doesn't serve him anymore, like he doesn't have long-standing principles. He doesn't have any like memory. like it's just whatever he has to say at any given moment to help him in that moment, and then it's gone. He's like a goldfish. He exists in just in the present.
Can I ask you how much Epstein stuff is there that's still classified or not released? Do you know? And I wonder if there's a way that Biden can just say, fuck it, here it is, I'm releasing all of it. Because I remember they asked Trump about this. They said, hey, Trump, so would you release all the stuff about Area 51? He said, absolutely. Would you release all the stuff about JFK? Sure.
Just
Epstein,
to piss him off?
It's like, and Epstein, he's like, well, a lot of people might get caught up in that. I don't think it's a good idea. So yeah, why not just release all of the Epstein stuff today?
It's not gonna. Nothing matters.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's in there.
Here's the thing. The thing is, if they release the Epstein files, it could only hurt the Democrats.
Yeah, how could it
Why?
help?
Because there's already pictures of fucking Donald Trump with like every fucking sex offender known to mankind, and nobody gives a fuck. So if they released a list and it had 99 Republicans on it who were MAGA and one Democrat, that Democrat would be the exclusive headline for the entire story. That would be it.
You don't think I guess there can't be. If there was like a video or something crazy incriminating Trump, an actual like kid fucking, at this point, it would have been released.
Don't they have that recording that just got released from the Daily Beast where they literally came out and had a recording of Epstein saying that like Donald Trump was his best friend for 10 years?
Yeah,
This is a party that brands itself the party of family values
and law and order.
How did it take so long for them to do this, by the way? Do you think it's just that the Democrats are fundamentally incompetent at like their job? Like all this stuff just coming out at the last minute, running the worst campaigns, doing the worst shit that nobody cares about?
I think what Brian said earlier, no, it's because the Democrats are so fucking good at our job. It's that even though the Republicans are these massive fucking anchors that we have to attach out of our boat, we just get better and better at rowing. That's why that's why Bill Clinton ran budget surpluses, okay? That's why Obama came in and had to clean up after the fucking 2007-2008 crisis. It's why Biden had to come in and clean up after the disaster that was COVID, right? And it's why Trump is going to get to sit back now and receive and enjoy an economy where he gets to benefit from an infrastructure bill that he couldn't pass, where he gets to claim that pre-existing ideas was his idea, okay, with a Republican idea, the thing that he dedicated himself to killing on day one of his administration. He gets to benefit from every single thing the Democrats did. If I was a Republican, I would love the Democrats. If I was the Republicans, I might throw the Democrats a bone just because they've been helping me so much, okay, prop up all of my administrations. I mean, he said it earlier, we had 8 years of Obama. Where's my socialism and communism? We had 4 more years of Biden. Where's my socialism and communism? And then we had 4 years of Trump, and now we have a president that can commit crimes with impunity.
Well, what the hell are you going to do about it?
I'm going to sit here and make a lot of money complaining about it.
I got a question for you. Do you think that we'll have a fair election in 4 years?
That for me?
Yeah.
That's the toughest part, because you look at Project 2025, there's the Schedule F aspect of it, where he can basically, right now we have, I think, like a few thousand political appointees, and then hundreds of thousands of career civil servants that staff the rest of the government. These are prosecutors that work at the DOJ, people who are legitimate, career civil servants, to the point where even Bill Barr had to say that Donald Trump's claims of fraud in 2020 were bullshit because there was no basis for them, and all of the people that he worked with were not going to validate those claims. Now imagine all of those people become political appointees, and you have no more career civil servants. You have people who are loyal not to the Constitution, not to statute, but rather to Donald Trump himself. And so I don't know what happens if in the 2028 election Some right-wing militia group says, oh, we saw fraud at the in the whatever center it was, the Detroit whatever center. These votes are not accurate in Detroit. These votes are not accurate in Milwaukee. These votes aren't accurate in Philadelphia. And so all of those have to be like thrown out. These voting machines have to be seized in the Democratic population centers in all of these states. And Donald Trump's DOJ goes, you know what? We think you're telling the truth, and we're going to validate these claims. There's no backstop to any of this stuff. Then I don't know. I mean, how do you win an election if you're a Democrat if all of a sudden somebody cries fraud, somebody, some Turning Point USA kid cries fraud somewhere in Detroit, and then all of the Detroit votes are at risk? How do you win the state of Michigan without Detroit? How do you win the state of Pennsylvania without Philly?
Yeah, and you're
How do you
thinking
win Milwaukee without Wisconsin.
Do you think that's likely
well,
to
and
happen?
also, you're thinking small time, right? Because they can just go after the state legislatures. If you have a state legislature that's on your side or enough people in there, you just flip the electoral vote. That's it. You just haven't sent in another slate because that's what they're trying to do. We don't even need to find fraud. They can just have the state legislature send in a totally different batch of electors, and then boom, you're done.
The question also.
There's something called the independent state legislature theory. What if this let's say they have unified control of government. Let's say the Republican Senate kills the filibuster and they pass into law the independent state legislature theory, which says that any election rules have to be passed by the state legislature and they're subject to zero oversight from the governor or any courts. Whatever the state legislature says goes. And then the state legislatures come in and say, okay, well, there's no early voting. Everything has to have a paper ballot. We decide who counts the paper ballots. It's only going to be our people. All of the commissions that will ultimately gerrymander the states, they're composed of all Republicans. Like, there is so much they could do with unified control of government. So look, I don't want to I don't want to make people despair in terms of hearing this. It's obviously something that we have to keep an eye on, but there is a lot they could do depending on how far they want to push the envelope.
Well, the question is, how likely do you think this is based on the previous tenure that Trump's had in the White House and what he's said so far? Do you think this is something that is going to happen absolutely? Or do you think this is like a lot of Democrats just freaking out and it won't actually get to this point and he's not actually going to go and replace everyone with loyalists or what? So should we actually be panicking? Or if you had to put odds on this, how much are you betting, right? We're on Predict It. No, we're on Polymarket right now. What are the odds?
I would have to be out of country if I want to bet on Polymarket. But look, I would say, I don't know. I mean, it's in between the two that you said. You said, is it guaranteed or is it just Democrats panicking? I think it's somewhere in between. We're talking about a guy who tried to get his vice president to unilaterally anoint him the winner of the election that he lost. This is a guy who called into states to get them to seize the voting machine. So I put it past Donald Trump to try and rig the election in his party's favor. This guy stops at nothing. So I don't know. Right now, maybe give him some benefit of the doubt that he definitely doesn't deserve and say 65%,
I guess what we need to do is we need to distract him with other stuff so he forgets about appointing all these people over the next 4 years.
Well, that's one thing. I think that we can rely on him to continue to be incompetent, to continue to be absent-minded, and to be distracted.
The problem is he's controlled by people that
That's
aren't.
what I'm
Well, and
worried
also,
about.
just to be clear, the biggest fear was before, and people don't realize this, but as much as people shit on bureaucrats, the only thing that stopped Trump last time were a lot of bureaucratic people.
Yep.
It was people who were working in the office of the vice presidency, giving counsel to Mike Pence. It was, surprisingly enough, it was people like William Barr. It was the assistant AGs in the Department of Justice who were willing to stand up and say they'd resign if Trump did crazy shit. But if we schedule F, and now Trump has the ability to dig into these offices and these departments and say, hey, I don't like that associate AG. I'm going to fucking fire that guy. Something he shouldn't be able to do, but maybe now could. That's the issue, is that the things standing before him,
actually,
between him and what he wanted before, those things might be gone now.
This is a really interesting question. Let's take it back to the 2020 election. Let's say that he already did have loyalists installed in Georgia, which was basically
Trump would still be president, or we would be in a civil war.
Yeah. What do you think actually would have actually happened? Let's say that they said, you know what, we're not certifying these people, they were fake, we're sending these ones, go ahead and sign it, Mike Pence. Would Mike Pence, and I guess let's say Mike Pence signed it, where would we really be today with just that one event if the people in Georgia were loyal to him? What's your honest take of what would have happened?
I mean, we won enough states that Georgia would.
Okay, well, Georgia plus another, or 2 or 3.
If you're saying if he had enough states to actually flip it, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah, like Georgia, Pennsylvania.
Let's say that Pence was Vance, and Pence was like, I'm not going to count, or he just counts the other slates of electors, and then Trump is gabbled in as the winner.
Sure.
right?
Yeah, basically that.
So the path is it goes to the Supreme Court, and Eastman said they probably wouldn't hear it because it was a political question. So they would invoke the political questions doctrine and say it's too hot for us to handle. And then everybody would sit around with their thumbs up their asses and go, oh, well, fuck us, I guess. Or sorry, you tell me what you think will happen.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
And remember, you're talking about the same party where Gore conceded, okay, on December 3rd, 12th or whatever. So,
Yeah, wait, give a real answer to this. Like, imagine that Pence said, yeah, I'm signing the fake electors. Donald Trump is the new president. What happens next?
Yeah, I still think it probably fails because the ECA just proves that Pence's role was ceremonial, was just perfunctory. But that's since been clarified to make it even more clear that role is perfunctory. So I think in that case it probably does fail, and we did see that. Look, they won 0 court cases related to these fake electors, and they would go on to actually prosecute a number of these fake electors. So clearly that wouldn't have held up in court, and I don't think that the Supreme Court. I mean, we did see, to your exact point, Eastman bring up this claim when he was investigated by the January 6th committee, and he did say that they likely wouldn't have even heard it, and I don't think that they would have.
But if they wouldn't have heard it, then you're fucked, right? Because then, what are they going to issue? What do you? The problem is that, like, on some procedural law, right, where you can issue a stay, you can do whatever. You're sitting around waiting for somebody to make a payment, or you're sitting around like waiting for whatever. But if it's like January 10th, 11th, January 18th, and people are legitimately looking around, it's like, okay, well, we haven't counted the electoral votes, or we're disagreeing still on these, and now it's like January 20th is approaching. Like, I think that the scary thing is people don't know what would have happened, right? Like, would you just go through the ceremony without the votes having been counted? Like, somebody besides Pence would have counted them? Like, I don't think there's a provision in the ECA for that to happen. Like, it would just be, I think the issue is they just wanted to kick the can down the road until basically people were like, it's fucking too complicated now, just he's in a second term, I think, is the worry, yeah.
For sure, delay. For sure, they were just seeking delay.
Yep.
And Donald Trump even said himself, like, we heard his quote, just leave it up to leave it up to us, and me and Republican congressmen will take care of it. That was literally the guy's quote.
Yeah, call the election corrupt and leave the rest up to me and the Republican. Yep.